Yo, Mac, ladies and gentlemen.
I got you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Valerie Red Show.
Yeah.
Let her warm up. Get your popcorn, split the blunt guts, get your roll on. I came to free your mind, invoke song. Swim soon to set it off, please don't let go. Yo, what up, dog? 10-4, it's the Valerie Red Show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's great to see you all, and I hope you guys are doing well. If you're new here, please subscribe because we get into some things over here. And if you're returning, then welcome back, friend. Okay, we're going to be discussing the Grammys and speculation of Jay-Z being behind the Nicki Minaj snub, HISS debuting at #1, and possible trouble in paradise for the City Girls. Yes, honey, we got some mess to discuss per usual, child. But before we do, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button if you want them edges laid, and let's get into the video. Okay, so HISS has debuted #1 on the Billboard Top 200 charts as well as the Billboard Hot 100. Congrats to all the hotties. I'm not gonna lie, this is a huge milestone for Megan Thee Stallion. It's her very first time debuting at #1 with a solo record, so shout out to her. Now, I hate to throw a wrench in there, child, but a lot of people are crediting Nicki Minaj for this #1. Her fans are definitely saying that, because apparently there were 3 to 5 other fan bases that were mass buying and streaming in order to make Megan go #1. So while the people are congratulating Megan, she's being clowned behind the scenes because, according to the numbers, HISS was only able to sell about 3 times what Bigfoot sold, with more tracking days and definitely more fan bases. So, although people are happy for Megan, there are a lot of people saying it was only because of hatred for Nicki Minaj, or, as I said in my last video, it could have been because of all the attention HISS was getting because of Nicki Minaj's social media antics. Even Forbes posted a statement accrediting the success of HISS to Nicki Minaj. So all I'm saying is that it sucks that whenever people discuss Megan having a #1, there will always be this dialogue about Nicki Minaj helping her. Megan even decided to celebrate her #1 by putting a straw in a bottle of Hennessy, which is a play on what Nicki Minaj said in her diss track, Bigfoot. So I just think it's a shame that people are going to remember this accomplishment as being attached to Nicki Minaj. That is, unless she can pull it off again without Nicki Minaj being mentioned or without there being any recent public conflicts between Nicki and Megan. But how do you guys feel? Do you honestly believe Megan would have gone #1 without any Nicki mentions or without Nicki Minaj insulting her online for 2 days and talking about her dead mother? Do you think Megan will be able to do this again and without Nicki or other fan bases being involved? Let me know in the comments. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is there seemingly being shade being thrown between JT and Carisha of the City Girls. There were a lot of people speculating a while back that the City Girls were coming to an end, that they were over. I know JT had begun releasing new solo music. She released No Bars, and Carisha was really getting into her podcast and her life as an influencer. She was selling merch and products and didn't seem to really be focused on the music anymore, while JT was still showing a passion and love for the music. So people were speculating that the City Girls were done. However, the City Girls had done several interviews and they debunked these rumors. They kept saying that they were not breaking up, that the City Girls were not over, and that we still had more to look for from the City Girls. However, people online were reading between the lines of these interviews, and they were reading body language, and they were seeing a bit of a disconnect between JT and Carisha, especially with some of the things that they were saying. I'm not sure if you guys remember the interview that JT and Carisha did on The Breakfast Club maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, where they were talking about how the industry has pitted them two against each other, how when JT drops a song, she gets a lot of love, and then Carisha might feel some type of way, and then Carisha is dropping podcasts and things like that, or she's dropping merch, then Carisha will be getting a lot of love, and JT feels some kind of way. They also talked about Young Miami having a reality TV show coming up, and JT was very hush-hush about whether or not she was going to be involved. Young Miami just went ahead and answered the question for her and said JT's not going to be involved. And a lot of people felt like this was shady for Carisha to just come out and say that. Like, they felt like it might have been something else going on, like there might have been some underlying issue between JT and Young Miami. So there was a lot of speculation about them breaking up and going their separate ways. And then, of course, we saw a lot of the online antics as well. Y'all remember that time when Saucy Santana and Lotto came on the Carisha Please podcast and were being very shady to Nicki Minaj. Now, there were a lot of comments being exchanged online between Lotto and Saucy Santana, Young Miami, and there were subliminals coming from Nicki in the barbs. And JT was quiet. She was silent because JT has a relationship with Nicki Minaj. And I'm sure you guys also remember that time when JT and Cardi B were exchanging shots on Twitter and Carisha was silent because Young Miami and Cardi B are still cool. So it was a lot of things that was going on behind the scenes and online that fans were just picking up on, feeling like there might have been something going on. And recently, you guys know JT dropped her song Sideways. It was a solo project. And fans noticed that Carisha wasn't really showing much love and support for the project. They were calling her out. Now, she did eventually post a snippet of JT's song. However, there were no captions, there were no comments, there were no congratulations given. It was very bland in my opinion. So a lot of people thought that this was shady and they questioned if it was even genuine, especially because not even a week later, Young Miami announced that she was starting a new era. She was getting ready to roll out her Yams era. She's dropping new music. And people were just wondering, why would Young Miami release or even make an announcement about new music or new projects during JT's rollout? There were also some lyrics in JT's Sideways song that had people thinking that she was throwing shots at Young Miami. She said, "These girls are so crazy, I'm looking at them sideways. Things will never be the same, screw the old days." So fans have definitely been online catching the shade, honey. I myself, I have mixed feelings about it. I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I haven't seen all the online and in public shade that the fans have been catching, you know, with the certain tweets, interviews, things like that. I'm not gonna act like I don't see certain things that could be perceived as shade or a disconnect between the two of them. So I'm not gonna say that people are just completely making this up or that they're completely wrong or that it's a reach, but I will say that this is not the first time that Young Miami and JT have released solo projects around the same time, and people didn't automatically conclude that they were breaking up. Do you guys remember when JT jumped on Summer Walker's album and she got on that song X for a Reason, and it was out on the radio around the same time that Young Miami jumped on Quavo's song Scrub the Ground? It was being promoted around the same time, right? So when that happened, the way I saw it was JT and Carisha's team, their management, might have wanted to put them out as solo artists because they might have felt like the City Girls as a group wasn't really reaching the level that they thought they would. You know, them as a duo might not have been working. So maybe they wanted to try them out as solo artists. They might have wanted to put them both out at the same time and see whose record made more numbers and made more noise. So I just feel like it was a strategic move on the label's part to see if we decide later on that we don't want them to be a group, or even if they decided they didn't want to be a group, you know, can we manage them as individual solo artists, right? And I don't think anybody was really putting them against each other at that time, right? I don't think it was until the online stuff started happening. So in my opinion, like I said, I have mixed feelings about it because I do feel like this could be a label or a management move, and they probably have very minimal say on when their actual projects are going to be released. So we can't say that Young Miami is releasing new music intentionally or releasing these projects intentionally during JT's moment of shine, because it could very much be the label, right? But I can't deny that they both have their times that they're silent online and not coming in the defense of the other, right? Especially when other people are in the mix, like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. So I can't deny that, but I just don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Carisha is trying to steal JT's shine? Do y'all think that there's some underlying beef going on? I'm not so sure. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the last thing I want to discuss with y'all is this mess of a Grammys night, y'all. Where do I even start? Okay, so the Grammys apparently made a mistake. They posted Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice as the winners of the Grammy for the Barbie World song, and then it was later announced that it was a mistake. And when the show aired, it turned out that Killer Mike was actually the winner of this category. So yes, they pulled a Steve Harvey, child. And apparently this was actually the first time in the history of the Grammys that they've ever made a mistake like this. Now, the first thing I'll say is this. In my heart of hearts, I feel like Nicki's name was written on that Grammy for Barbie World, right? And in my heart of hearts, I feel like the industry was finally receiving Nicki positively. They were finally ready to give her her flowers. Her album went #1 for 2 weeks, or was it 3 weeks? She has so many major companies, media outlets promoting Gag City with the AI-generated visuals for the album. She's received so much free promotion, so much love, with her music. And in my heart of hearts, I really do feel like this Grammy was in the bag. I feel like all the awards were in the bag. Nicki's press run along with this album shook everybody because it really showed the industry that Nicki Minaj was here to stay, and that it didn't matter how many corporate machines and giants, how many hate trains that they tried to bring against her, that her fans would be enough to solidify her in this rap game. And people were finally starting to see that and to respect that. So while I do understand, like I said in my last video, while I do understand that she might have gone on this Twitter rant against Megan Thee Stallion, as a strategic business move, I just have one question for Nicki Minaj at this point. Was it worth it? Because, and y'all, I'm really a fan. I wouldn't be being true to myself if I didn't say that I don't feel like Nicki single-handedly sabotaged this Grammy with her online antics. I don't think she needed any help from Jay-Z or Roc Nation or anybody else to sabotage this Grammy. So I just wanted to start by saying that. Now let's go ahead and get into what the people are saying, child, because y'all know they messy. So Jay-Z was the winner of the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, and in his acceptance speech, he made a few comments that people felt were targeted towards Nicki Minaj. Now before we even go there, let's go back to Nicki Minaj's recent Twitter rant. Recently on Twitter, Nicki had been calling out one of Roc Nation's executives, Desiree, for being a silent snake behind the scenes and secretly trying to recruit female rappers to take Nicki Minaj out of the game, secretly behind the scenes trying to manipulate people in numbers in order to end Nicki Minaj. Now, Jay-Z has not spoken on this, nor has Desiree responded to this. However, there were a lot of fans in the comments who were coming to Nicki's defense and speaking on Desiree's character. They said there were a few people, her as well as a lot of other people behind the scenes at Roc Nation that have been pulling strings for years, even with this whole Tory Lanez trial and this Tory Lanez case. So there's a lot of speculation that Roc Nation is the silent culprit behind a lot of these celebrity artists' downfall in this industry, child. Now, even Jaguar Wright, who we know to be a lot of things, but not a liar, even Jaguar Wright said that Jay-Z was worse than Diddy. I want y'all to listen to this.
Sean Carter is worse.
Oh, man.
He's smarter. He's patient.
Okay, so y'all heard that. And y'all, we have seen what Diddy can do to an artist's career, okay? So if Jay-Z is supposedly worse than that, then he has a lot of power in this industry, y'all. Now, this is just a theory, and I'm just throwing it out there so y'all can be one of the first with the tea. So once it gets boiling hot and it's ready to be served, y'all will be one of the first on the scene. So just follow me real quick and sound off in the comments, okay? So Nicki's been calling out Roc Nation in her tweets and saying that they were pulling strings, making calls, all kinds of things behind the scenes to boost streams numbers for the other rap girls, right? And now there's speculation that Roc Nation may be starting to work with Doja Cat. And we already know for a fact that they already work with Megan Thee Stallion, right? So if we're looking at today's world and today's world of music, who are the two rap girls that can compete with Nicki Minaj? It would be Doja Cat and Megan. Cardi wouldn't be considered because she doesn't even write her own raps, and Jay-Z doesn't respect that, child, so she's out. So anyway, I find it ironic that Roc Nation is affiliating themselves with the two girls that are Nicki's biggest competition right now, and that Nicki doesn't have good relationships with right now. So during these Twitter rants, Nicki had been indirectly saying that Roc Nation is trying to sabotage her, take her out, and replace her in the industry. And then after Jay-Z's Grammy speech, where Nicki Minaj was of course snubbed last minute due to a quote-unquote mistake, fans immediately started coming to Nicki's defense saying that she was right all along and that this is what she had been trying to tell us via her Twitter rants. Now, Jay-Z did say in his speech that some people didn't deserve to be in the categories, child, and as we have seen, Nicki was definitely taken out of all the categories in the Grammys this year. So listen to what Jay-Z said.
Some of you gonna go home tonight and feel like you've been robbed. Some of you may get robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category.
Now, I will say this, guys. If Jay-Z wanted Nicki out of the categories and to not attend the Grammys, especially on a year that he was winning the Global Impact Award, and especially with Beyonce being his wife, I do feel it's very possible for Jay-Z to achieve that if he wanted, right? I do feel like he's powerful enough to do so, and we know that Queen Beyonce is powerful enough to do that. Just imagine if both Beyonce and Jay-Z said they were not going to show up to the Grammys if Nicki won or if she was able to attend. Do y'all know them white folks would throw Nicki under the bus so quick? So y'all, I'm just saying, this is something to keep our ears to the streets for and be on the lookout for. A lot of people are convinced that Roc Nation are the snakes that sabotaged Nicki's Grammy. I've already said I believe that's very possible. But I also feel like Nicki did a good job of sabotaging the Grammy herself. Could Nicki have been sabotaging the Grammy to make sure that Ice Spice didn't receive the Grammy? I don't know. The better question is, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Jay-Z and Roc Nation was a part of this epic mistake that the Grammys made? Do you think that Jay-Z's Grammy speech was a warning to Nicki Minaj? Join in on the mess. Don't be shy. Let's continue the conversation. Sound off on what you think on all the topics below. Please drop me a like if you enjoyed this video and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next one. Love you guys all for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.